Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachani Nirvisheshashunyavani Vashadi Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Padayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namane Gautase Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Gadadhar Shivasadi Gau Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So we welcome everyone for today's Bhagavatam class as part of Bhagavat Life program. We're going to start a very important chapter. It doesn't matter you are a new bhakta, aspiring transcendentalist, or a practicing devotee. This chapter of Dhruva Maharaj having a conversation with the Lord carries some extremely important lessons, and some are even frightening. So let's begin with that. Chapter number 9, text number 1. So in the first 5 verses, it is described that how Lord appeared to Dhruva Maharaj, and from text number, then Dhruva Maharaj will offer prayers from text number 6 to 17, and from 18 to 26, Lord will bless Dhruva Maharaj. We'll see if we can cover this 26 verses as part of today's discussion, like that. So yeah, text number 1. Maitriya vacha ta eva mushtan bhaya uru krame kritavanama prayayustrivishtapam sahasra shirapi tato garutmata madhovanam bhritya didakshaya gataha. All of you have Veda base? Oh, तो रिसाइट क्यों नहीं करा? कौन दिखा रहा है वर्ष ये? 4.9.1. All right. Translation. The great sage Maitreya told Vidura, when the Devtas were thus reassured by the personality of Godhead, they were freed from all fears. And after offering their obeisances, they returned to their heavenly planners. Then the Lord, who is not different from the Sahasrashish incarnation, got on the back of Garuda, who carried him to the Madhuvan forest to see his servant Dhruva. All right. I'm not going to go into details of which incarnation and all that. I'm going to focus more on point of relevance for here in terms of practice. Text number 2. So in the previous chapter we saw the Devtas went to Lord. Why did Devtas went to the Lord? Dhruva is offering prayers. But what Devtas got to do? Devtas carried a recommendation letter for Dhruva. So we have cleared him. Interview pass. You can appear. Why did Devtas went to Vishnu carrying an appeal on behalf of Dhruva? Who amongst the online devotee would like to share? Okay, Shubham Prabhu. Go ahead. Shubham Patil Prabhu. Unmute. Wait, we can't hear you. Our sound team? Yes, please go ahead, Shubham Prabhu.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी, जब ध्रुवा मेडिटेशन कर रहे थे तो उन्होंने कुछ दिनों बाद आई थिंक 6 डेज बाद वो सांस ले रहे थे. दैट्स व्हाई सबकी सांसें रुक गई थी, चौकअप हो गई थी. तो दैट्स व्हाई
सांस इसलिए नहीं रुकी थी क्योंकि वो सांस ले रहा था. सांस इसलिए रुकी थी क्योंकि उसने सांस लेनी बंद कर दी थी.
हाँ प्रभु जी.
हाँ, Okay. So Devtas had got frightened. They couldn't breathe in, breathe out. He was on a Zadanath Maharaj in one lecture on the subject matter was saying, Vat, air is responsible for all the movement. How does the blood flows? Because of what? Air. And how do you pass or evacuate? Because of air. So when air is imbalanced, you get constipation. So all the Devtas are constipated. So they had come to Vishnu for a treatment. Text number 2. Lord appears. The form of the Lord, which was brilliant like lightning and enriched Dhruva Maharaj in his mature yogic process of fully absorbed in meditation, all of a sudden disappeared. So the Lord had appeared within his heart, and now that form disappeared. Why disappeared? Because now the Lord had manifested in front of Dhruva. As Dhruva was perturbed and his meditation broke, but as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the Supreme Personality of Godhead personally present, just as he had been seeing the Lord in his heart. Prabhupada writes at the end of the purport, when a devotee becomes mature in his prosecution of devotional service, he sees face to face the same Shyama Sundara he has thought of during the entire course of devotional service. Since the Supreme Lord is absolute, the form within the heart of a devotee, the form in the temple, and the original form in Vaikuntha, Vrindavan Dham are all the same. They are non-different from one another. Alright. So Dhruva have not seen. Dhruva's meditation have broke because he cannot see the Lord. What happened then? Of course, Dhruva will become agitated, as now the boy became agitated. Text 3. When Dhruva Maharaj saw his Lord just in front of him, he was greatly agitated. Offered him obeisances and respect. He fell flat before him like a rod, and became absorbed in love of Godhead. Dhruva was in ecstasy, looked upon the Lord as he were drinking the Lord with his eyes, kissing the lotus feet of the Lord with his mouth, and embracing the Lord with his arms. Why agitated, and why this kind of a simile being presented? Let's put it this way. Any one of you have ever seen, a Bollywood actor or actress suddenly come up, if in case you have been in that neighborhood, and suddenly the person just walks up in front of you. Your mouth and eyes, it will literally stand. Look, really? किसको? टॉम क्रूज को? अच्छा ठीक है. आपका पता नहीं लंबे लंबे आप कहाँ क्या क्या देखा आपने. So anyways, this is how, can you imagine now the Supreme Lord, and as we read the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, if you remember, even to just see the Virat Roop, Lord said, Arjuna, I'll have to give you the vision. Of course, Prabhupada mentions why, because he was already, his eyes were anointed with love, he was already seeing Krishna, and there at the end of the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Durdarshana, not Durdarshan, TV wala Durdarshan nahi. That TV wala Durdarshan name, it got it from Durdarsha, which Krishna says in the 11th chapter. This two-handed form is very difficult to see. In fact, very few are able to see that. In other words, as Arjuna's eyes were glazed when he saw the Virat Roop, far greater effulgence of than the Virat Roop is the effulgence of Lord's body, because the Brahma Jyoti appears from Lord's body. And that's the reason Dhruva had no idea what to do. He was agitated. Can you imagine? Hundreds and millions and unlimited sun have come at one place, stand there, because the sun's illuminance comes from Lord's body. So what would happen? And not knowing anything, Dhruva just fall flat on the ground, and his heart is filled with ecstasy, love for the Lord. And simile has been provided. He was drinking the Lord with his eyes, kissing the lotus feet of the Lord with his mouth, and embracing the Lord within his arms, like that. This is all happening within his heart. Text number 4. Now after this, Dhruva got up on his knees with folded hands. If you ever had an experience with some very great personality in front of you, who you have a deep respect, that is great, he's amazing. You might have seen sometimes crazy fans, let's say, Virat Kohli, people run to him, or sometimes, you see in the cricket field, they run to him, and you see when they run, I saw this one short video of, I don't know where Virat Kohli was playing, one man jumped onto the field and he went running, and he offered him full dandavats, touched his feet, got up, like Dhruva Maharaj, master. And before he could do like this, the security guards came and lifted him in that position and took him away. So this is something, imagine if for a mundane person, He may be a great, I'm not denying that. I'm just saying, but nonetheless, a mundane person, somebody can have so much awe and reverence. Imagine what Dhruva would be going through. And now Dhruva, now next thing is, these are just natural human emotions. Now you're stunned, you're with all awe and reverence. Now you want to say something, but you're not able to figure out what to say. Have you ever had, for example, let's say in your office, imagine if you get an opportunity, coincidentally, to have a conversation with the CEO of your company, who you know is a very great person, very successful. You will be so super conscious. What do I speak? How do I speak? I have to choose my words very carefully. Yes or no? You'll be very conscious. Something like that. Dhruva is, what do I say? How do I say? And he becomes nervous. Although Dhruva Maharaj was a small boy who wanted to offer praise to the Supreme Lord in suitable language, but because he was inexperienced, he could not adjust himself immediately. The Supreme Lord, being situated in heaven's heart, could understand Dhruva's awkward position. Out of his causeless mercy, he touched his conch shell to the forehead of Dhruva Maharaj, who stood before him with folded hands. So Dhruva could have an audience with Lord. No, Vishnu Duta came and took Dhruva away. In fact, the Lord personally came. And here, look, if you are in front of somebody who is very great, who you adore, if you are clueless, you will remain clueless. And he will walk away. And look at how Lord is going to touch the forehead of Dhruva Maharaj with his conch, imbue his consciousness with knowledge, enabling him to speak. So Prabhupada writes something very beautiful in the purports. Prabhupada writes about Bhakti Shakti. This is something to be noted for all the preachers, aspiring preachers. Every devotee wants to chant the transcendental qualities of the Lord. In other words, in the beginning, Prabhupada is saying, devotees want to chant, devotees want to glorify. This is what devotee means. Then a few lines below, the personality Godhead being situated in everyone's heart, specially gives the devotee intelligence to describe him. Prabhupada says, it is therefore understood that when a devotee writes or speaks about the Lord, his words are dictated by the Lord from within. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10th chapter, 10th verse, Tesham Satata Yuktanam, like that. When Dhruva felt hesitant, not knowing how to describe the Lord for want of sufficient experience, the Lord touched his conch shell. He was transcendently inspired. This transcendental inspiration is called Brahm Maya, because when one is thus inspired, the sound he produces exactly corresponds to the sound vibration of the Vedas. This is not the ordinary sound vibration of this material world. Are you getting? And therefore, Prabhupada, even not really fluent in English, not having that clarity in his language, heavily Bengali, heavy accent, yet he could charm the heart of people across the globe. Not that he didn't go, he went to America, he traveled across the globe. His kirtans went viral, his lecture people understood or not understood, but their heart got transformed. Because that's a Bhakti Shakti that Prabhupada carried. And through Prabhupada's grace, we have that Bhakti Shakti available if we sincerely practice. Therefore, Prabhupada said, anyone can become a successful preacher if he follows 4 regular principles, chants 16 rounds of Hare Krishna mantra every day. And of course, reads Prabhupada books. Therefore, the sound vibration of the Hare Krishna mantra, although present in the ordinary alphabet, should not be taken as mundane or material. We already saw Tadvag Visargo Janatag Viplavo, first canto, 5th chapter, verse number 17 or 18, when Nad Muni also speaks on the same line. Now, what happened when the Lord touched his conch to Dhruva? Dhruva became fully realized. At that time, Dhruva became perfectly aware of the Vedic conclusion and understood the absolute truth. His relationship with all living entities in accordance with the line of devotional service to the Supreme Lord, whose fame is widespread. Sorry, I'm just getting some. Let me mute it out. This is distracting. Dhruva, who in the future would receive a planet which would never be annihilated even during the time of dissolution, offered his deliberate and conclusive prayers. So, how Dhruva Maharaj became well versed in bhakti? He didn't attend any programs or courses. In other words, how did he attain perfection in 6 months only? So, Prabhupada mentioned 2 things. First, he talks about the Sambandha Gyan, and second, he talks about how anyone, if receives the grace of the Lord, can accomplish anything, like Dhruva Maharaj. Let's briefly count Dhruva's accomplishment, which we have discussed and which we are yet to discuss. First accomplishment, I'm not going to go too many accomplishments, but high-level accomplishment, very important accomplishment. First is that he pleased the Lord within 6 short span of months. He could perform a tremendous amount of austerity. First thing. Second, pleased by that, Lord appeared to him. Not only Lord appeared to him, not only he pleased the Lord by his tapa, now he's going to please the Lord by his vacha. He would speak some tremendous words of glorification. Not only he pleased the Lord by tapa, by speaking his words of glory to the Lord, now he will even get his material desire fulfilled, which even the Lord would say, Dhruva, what you have asked is so difficult to fulfill, because you have asked something even greater than what Brahma rules, which means that creation must not have come from Brahma. Which means in the material creation, now you want me to create something directly for you. So therefore, Dhruva Loka, Srila Prabhupada will quote Bharat Bhagavatamrita, where Srila Sanatana Goswami says, therefore Dhruva planet is not of this world, is Vaikuntha, where even Brahma does not have permission to enter, because Dhruva's desire was, I want a kingdom greater than my great-grandfather, which means even Brahma to enter would need visa. This is the third great accomplishment. And the fourth accomplishment, where Lord told him, now he received Lord's blessings in the form of material desires getting fulfilled, and also Lord blessed him, Dhruva, you will rule this planet for 36,000 years, planet Earth, where this pastime occurred, and on the way to probably planet Earth. For 36,000 years, you will not grow old, and your memory will not fade. You will always remember him, and after this, ruling this planet for this long year, you will go back to Dhruvalok. And now here becomes a very interesting discussion. Why was he not brought back to Vaikuntha? Back to Godhead. Now another quality of Dhruva is not annihilated during the partial annihilation, which occurs every night of Brahma. Second point to be noted, why did Lord bless Dhruva with his material desires? Although he awarded him prema, then in that case, Dhruva Maharaj could have been brought back to Vaikuntha immediately. So Prabhupada writes here, because Dhruva had material aspirations in his heart, because he worshipped Lord with revengeful attitude. We want to take a revenge from Suruchi. His aspiration to worship the Lord was revenge, because of which he had to continue in this world. Therefore, I believe in the last session I was making a point in relation to Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, where the mantra which was given by Narad Muni to Dhruva, there it is mentioned by Narad Muni, whatever you desire will be fulfilled. And I was making a point, we have to be very careful what we are thinking during chanting. And for God's sake, give up grudges and revengeful attitudes toward other Vaishnavas. That is so severe. So severe is, Dhruva was not even a devotee when Suruchi offended Dhruva. But because Suruchi offended Dhruva, and Dhruva in the same lifetime became a pure devotee, Lord punished Suruchi, saying that she will die in the fire of separation of her son. Now, why would son separation? Because even Srila Jiva Goswami mentions in his Sandarbha about this context, this particular verse, saying that the Uttama also had an envy towards Dhruva. Although Uttama was 5-year-old or younger, even he had an envy. Therefore, Lord told him Uttama would die. In two ways, it was a punishment for Uttama as well as for Suruchi. And second, Suruchi, she will become so desperate, so frustrated, she will die in the fire of not only separation, but also in the forest fire, when she will be running around searching for Uttama. And like that, they will suffer. And the point is, Prabhupada mentioned in this regard, but that's not how devotees approach the Lord. This is one unique case study where Lord is like this punishing somebody. For example, Prahlad Maharaj was worshipping the Lord. Now, Hiranyakashipu had to be killed by the Lord. not because Prahlad wanted it, but Lord appeared for it. That's a different thing. But if you look at it, Prahlad didn't have any revengeful attitude towards his father. So Lord did not curse him, punished him, nothing like that. But because Dhruva wanted it, Lord blessed him. So coming to the point over here, as a Vaishnava, we have to be very thoughtful and careful. You cannot prevent yourself from having revengeful thoughts during japa time if you do not give up on your revengeful attitude. You're literally destroying yourself. And it is nothing but a pure ego battle that we have because we become egoistic, and therefore Dhruva is criticized for that. Dhruva is found fault with this particular thing only, that, and of course you can't say Dhruva is criticized, find fault, because he was just a 5-year-old boy. But you have to understand, even Suruchi was not aware of the status of Dhruva. Forget about Suruchi. इस एक कहानी में पिताजी बच गए, वरना पिताजी भी लपेटे में आ जाते, है ना. Uttanapad also didn't do anything, na? But thank God Lord didn't went to Uttanapad. Otherwise Uttanapad की भी उसमें लग जाती है. And now everyone can say, what do? We didn't know about the greatness of Dhruva. But this is not how it works. So this is a very beautiful section. So we should be careful. If you feel you are not being respected, then don't demand respect. So don't think that I deserve respect and everyone has to give me respect. Don't get offended by it. Don't think that I'm so special that everyone needs to respect me. And this is one area where people get hurt and affected. Okay, no, people don't want to respect me, so no problem. What's the big deal? Anyways, what's my worth that everyone has to respect me? And that's the only one reason why people carry grudges in their life and revengeful attitude. Okay, so that's few points. We'll continue the story here. So Prabhupada mentions about his Vedic conclusion. So how did Dhruva become so successful? Prabhupada in the first purport, 4th line, Dhruva never went to any school or academic teacher to learn the Vedic conclusion, but because of his devotion of his Lord, as soon as the Lord appeared and touched his forehead with his conch shell, automatically the entire Vedic conclusion was revealed to him. That is the process of understanding Vedic literature. What's the process of understanding Vedic literatures? The Vedas indicate the only to one who has unflinching faith in the Supreme Lord as well as in the spiritual Master is the Vedic conclusion revealed. The many verses which talks about having this faith in Guru and Gauranga. So Prabhupada writes at the end of the purport, how Dhruva became successful? Dhruva attained this perfection not by acting hastily, but by patiently executing the order of his spiritual master. And therefore he became so successful that he saw the Lord face to face. Now he was further enabled by the causeless mercy of the Lord to offer fitting prayers to the Lord. To glorify or offer prayers unto the Lord, one needs Lord's mercy. One cannot write to glorify the Lord unless one is endowed with his causeless mercy. Like that. Bhakti, Shakti. And let's go to text number 6. So now Dhruva has been empowered by the Lord. Dhruva will offer prayers. Beautiful section. Dhruva said, my dear Lord, you're all powerful. After entering within me, you have enlivened all my sleeping senses. My hands, my legs, my ears, touch sensation, life force, and especially my power of speech. Let me offer my respectful obeisances. So this purport is all about Jiva Jago, Jiva Jago. How does Jiva is awakened? And what is the process of spiritual enlightenment? So Prabhupada writes something very beautiful. So in the second paragraph, in the 4th or the 5th line, Prabhupada says, this spiritual enlightenment of Dhruva Maharaj's senses and mind was due to the action of the internal potency of the Lord. Spiritual enlightenment is possible by the mercy of the spiritual energy of the Lord. The chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra is also first addressed to the spiritual energy of the Lord. Hare. The spiritual energy acts when a living entity fully surrenders and accepts his position as an eternal servitor. When a person places himself at the disposal or order of the Lord, that is called Sevan Mukha. Prabhupada further writes, without revelation by the spiritual energy, one is unable to offer prayers glorifying the Lord. At the end, in the beginning, the senses are engaged by the direction, Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, and after realization, when the same senses are purified, the engagement continues. The difference is that in the beginning, the senses are engaged in mechanical way, but after realization, they are engaged in spiritual understanding. So Dhruva, in the beginning for 6 months, that was mechanical. He followed the order. Now his senses are engaged in a spiritual way. Text number 7. My Lord, you are the Supreme One, but by your different energies, you appear differently in the spiritual and material worlds. You create the total energy of the material world by your external potency, and after creation, you enter within the material world as Super Soul. You are the Supreme Person through the temporary modes of material nature, and through the temporary modes of material nature, you create varieties of manifestation just as fire, entering into wood of different shapes and burns brilliantly in different varieties. Maya adhyakshena prakriti suetesa characharam. So Lord, you have multifarious energies. Text number 8. You are the only shelter of bandhu, artha bandhu, who are distressed. O my Master, Lord Brahma is fully surrendered unto you. In the beginning, you gave him knowledge, and thus he could see and understand the entire universe, just as a person awakens from sleep and visualizes immediate duties. You are the only shelter who desire liberation. You are the friend of all who are distressed. And how, therefore, can a learned person who has perfect knowledge ever forget you like this? So we already read about spiritual enlightenment, right? The 6th verse. Yes. Alright, that was text number 8. You are my only shelter. So there's some very, very beautiful points here. Text number 9. Now Dhruva prays for spiritual intelligence. You're like a desire tree. Persons who worship you simply for the sense gratification of this bag of skin are certainly influenced by your illusory energy. He is regretting. In spite of having you who are like a desire tree and the cause of liberation from birth and death, foolish persons such as me desire benedictions from you for sense gratification, which is available even for those who live in hellish conditions. Prabhupada is repenting because he approached the Lord for his material aspiration. Text number 10. My Lord, this is about supreme bliss. The transcendental bliss derived from meditating upon your lotus feet or hearing about your glories from pure devotees is so unlimited that is far beyond the stage of Brahmananda, wherein one thinks himself merged in the impersonal Brahman as one with the Supreme. Since Brahmananda is also defeated by the transcendental bliss derived from devotional service, then what to speak of the temporary blissfulness of elevating oneself to the heavenly planets, which is ended by the separating sword of time. Although one may be elevated to the heavenly planets, he falls down in due course of time. Like that. So Prabhupada talks about transcendental bliss, and he makes a comparison with Mayavadis. Shravanam Kirtanam, like this. Position of karma is even more degraded. So we may know of this, I'm just kind of repeating. Brahma Ananda is like 0 axis, Shanti, 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 and the experience of the bliss which is derived from engaging in the service of the Lord, that is positive axis of happiness, and the experience of happiness derived by the karmis, fruity workers who are desiring for the heavenly planets or even living in heavenly planets, is a negative axis. Why? The happiness for them is only mitigation of suffering, not actual happiness. Text number 11. What does Dhruva wants? What he wants is only association of devotees, like Vritasura wants, or like Kapil Dev says in 3rd canto. Dhruva continued, O unlimited Lord, kindly bless me so that I may associate with great devotees who engage in a transcendental loving service constantly, as the waves of a river constantly flow. Such transcendental devotees are completely situated in an uncontaminated state of life. By the process of devotion service, I shall surely be able to cross the nascent ocean of material existence. which is filled with the waves of blazing fire like green juice. It will be very easy for me, for I am becoming mad to hear about your transcendental qualities and pastimes which are eternally existent. Any idea why all the devotees aspire for devotees' association even more than the association of the Lord? Any thoughts? Hare Krishna. Jiva jago, Jiva jago, Gaura Chanda Bholi. Yes, अभी तुम इतना इधर बैठो दिख भी नहीं रहे, सामने बैठो ना जगह वहाँ. Yes sir. We still haven't connected that thing, that two mic wala thing. So I can't take your input. What is the point of input? Online devotees will not hear you. Yes, Mother Medavani. No, unless you fix the local system, we'll not have that. Go ahead, Mother Medavani.
Prabhu, I was remembering today's Sangat Maharaj's lecture where he was talking about three aldars. It was a rainy day and they all joined together. And Krishna actually forced himself into that small room. So I was thinking that the association of devotees is more important than the Lord, because in the association of devotees we are able to remember the Lord. Even when we are with the Lord, we don't know how to please the Lord. We don't know how to glorify the Lord. When the association of devotees, they speak the glorification of the Lord, and in that way the Lord is also present whenever his devotees, pure devotees, glorify him. So that's the association.
Thank you. And anything else from anyone? Why everyone from Vritrasur to Dhruva Maharaj, everyone is praying only for Ohi Vaishnava Thakura Doyara Thagara Idase Karuna Kori Bhaktivinoda Thakur, everyone, Narottam Das Thakur, in his prayers, everyone is praying for association of devotees. Yes. So let's hear from online devotees. Anyone else online? Yeah, all of you are exhausted tired of Vaishnava association. Now you only want Krishna. पर जो बहुत कॉन्फ्लिक्ट होता है जीवन में, अगर ऐसा है तो तुम कहीं नहीं जाने वाले. बहुत ही जगत ही ऐसे लोग के लिए बनाया गया है. Who had hand? Mother Preeti Radha. Yes, go ahead.
So devotees will make sure that if we are getting deviated, they will get us back on track. But Lord gives us free will. If someone wants to go away,
okay, very nice. Correct. That's also so, because Lord gives us free will, and if you want to forget, the Lord may not interfere. But devotees would not let us forget the Lord. The greatest joy the devotee finds is singing the glories, and more than that, in hearing the glories. Now, from whom would you hear the glories? Do you think Lord will sit and say, okay, let me tell you my Vrindavan Leela, my special devotee from Blue Ridge or Sangria Hinjewadi. तुम्हारा ही वेट कर रहा था मैं. How would you get to hear from the devotees? So that's the reason they say, and hearing the Lord, remembering the Lord is a direct association of the Lord. So therefore they don't say, what will we do, if in case we are in direct audience with the Lord. If you look at the pages of Bhagavatam, Lord comes, devotees glorify, Lord bless, and Lord disappears. Then if in case the devotee did all this thing for the association of the Lord, then why is Lord disappearing? But no, Lord is not disappearing. Lord is appearing to that devotee in another form. And from the spiritual perspective and spiritual understanding, Lord is absolute. So hearing about the Lord, chanting about the Lord, singing the glory of the Lord means always in constant association of the Lord. Just like Prabhu said, when you chant the holiness of the Lord, Shri Radha and Krishna is dancing on the tongue, not of a sadhaka, of a pure devotee. Like that. So Prabhupada doesn't say pure devotee, I'm just joking here in that. Okay, so that's the point, devotees are praying for the association of devotees. Prabhupada says, purpose of ISKCON is to provide association of devotees. Text number 12. O Lord, who have a lotus navel, if a person happens to associate with a devotee whose heart always hankers after your lotus feet, seeking always their fragrance, is never attached to the material body or in a body relationship, to offspring, friends, home, wealth and wife, which are very, very dear to materialistic person. Indeed, he does not care for them. So another advantage of association devotees, which the Maharaj is mentioning, association devotee gives detachment to material affairs. We don't find any more attachment or hankering or lingering for material association. So that's the point here. As they are in love with the Lord, association being contagious of such advanced devotees, a sadhaka also becomes inspired by that. So that's the point here. Vasudeve Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janati Asu Vairagam Jnanam Chayat Ahitakam. So one develops detachment and bhakti together. Text number 13. My dear Lord, O Supreme Unborn, I know that the different varieties of living entities such as animals, trees, birds, reptiles, devatas, and human beings are spread throughout the universe, which is caused by the total material energy. And I know that they are sometimes manifest, sometimes unmanifest, but I have never experienced the Supreme Form I behold as I see you now. Now all kinds of methods of theorizing have come to an end. So how did Dhruva Maharaj understood the Param Guhyam Jnana? What's the verse from Bhagavad Gita? How do you understand the Lord? Bhaktya mam vijanati yamanchasmi tattvataha. That's the point. So Prabhupada says Dhruva Maharaj is comparing his understanding from the past to that of now because he is spiritually awake and realized. Text number 14, my dear Lord, you appear in different incarnations. My dear Lord, at the end of each millennium, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Garbhodaksha, dissolves everything manifested in the universe into his belly. He lies down on the lap of Sheshanag. From his navel sprouts a golden lotus flower and a stem, and on that lotus Lord Brahma is created. I can understand that you are the same Supreme Godhead. I therefore offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So somebody was asking a question recently. So this is the reference, one of the reference. What happens at the end of Brahma's night? This is at the end of Brahma's night, millennium. This is not after his lifetime. Because at the end of his lifetime, which means everyone goes back into the body of Karna Daksha Vishnu. This is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Okay? Millennium is 1000 cycles. Text number 15. My Lord, by your unbroken transcendental glance, you are the supreme witness of all stages of intellectual activities. You eternally liberated, your existence is situated in pure goodness, and you are existent in the super soul without change. You are the original personality Godhead, full with six opulence. You are eternally the master of the three modes of material nature, thus you are always different from the ordinary living entities. Namaste Purusham Tvadyam Ishvara Prakati Param Alaksham Sarvabhutanam Antarbahar Avishtatam. Mother Kunti is saying the same thing. Thus you are always different from the ordinary living entity. As Lord Vishnu, you maintain all the affairs of the entire universe, yet you stand aloof and are the enjoyer of the results of all sacrifices. So this verse Prabhupada emphasizes the difference between living entity and the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text number 16. My dear Lord, in your impersonal manifestations of Brahman, there are always two opposing elements, knowledge and ignorance. Your multi-energies are continually manifest, but the impersonal Brahman, which is undivided, original, changeless, unlimited and blissful, is the cause of the material manifestation. Because you are the same impersonal Brahman, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. Ignorance. Fine. So that's the point here. Brahmananda, Jnana Mishra Bhaktas, impersonal. Now, text number 17. So, just I'm reading out the high level prayers. We're going to take a look at some important. So, we can read text 11 per part and 16. Therefore, we'll abide in this. So text 16 is about association. Maybe we can just read that. No, text 16 which was text number? It's a very beautiful text number 11. I was looking at the notes. Text number 11 is, you can mark as a homework, is quite a big purpose. But we were talking about the association, as the Maharaj was saying, I want association. Prabhupada says, That is the difference between devotees and Mayavadis. Because Mayavadis, they go and live alone. But devotees, living alone for them means living in the association of devotees. And Prabhupada makes very categorically, you cannot make advancement without the association of devotees. Let's go to text number 70 and we will come quickly to Lord Shri Krishna's words. O Lord, O Supreme Lord, you are the supreme personified form of all benediction, known as Varadaraj. Therefore, one who abides in your devotional service with no other desire, worshipping your lotus feet is better than becoming king, lording over kingdom. That is the benediction of worshipping your lotus feet. Ignorant devotees like me, you are the causelessly merciful maintainer, just like a cow, who takes care of the newly born calf by supplying milk and giving it protection from attack. In other words, what Dhruva is saying, my dear Lord, you are shelter for all the pure devotees. But even for an ignorant person like me who approached you, not for devotional life, but for getting his material aspiration fulfilled, you are like a father who gives attention to even his foolish son and fulfills his material desires. Text number 18, Maitreya concludes the prayers offered by Dhruva Maharaj. Maitreya Vacha Ata Abhishtuta Evam Vai Satsankalpena Dhimataha Bhratyanurakato Bhagavan Prati Nandyedam Abhravir. The great sage Maitreya continued, my dear Vidura, when Dhruva Maharaj, who had good intentions at heart, finished his prayer, the Supreme Lord, who is very kind to his devotee servants, congratulated him and speaking as follows. Now comes the interesting section. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Vedaham te vayavasitam hridi rajanya balaka tat parayachyami bhadram te durapam api Durapam, बहुत मुश्किल है. Hey Dhruva, what did you ask? The personality of God had said, my dear Dhruva, son of the king, you have executed pious vows, and I also know the desires of your heart. Although your desire is very ambitious and very difficult to fulfill, I shall favor you with his fulfillment. All good fortune unto you. So Lord saying, Dhruva, your desire is very difficult to be fulfilled, but I'll still fulfill it. Any other example where again Lord felt it was very difficult, but Lord indeed fulfilled it? One devotee was making a very profound statement, I loved it. He said, by becoming a devotee of the Lord, we are only creating more trouble for him. Because we increase Lord's engagement. Now here, Dhruva is engaging the Lord in creating something which is not even in existence. To be part of Brahma's area of influence, but still not under Brahma. Isn't it? No jurisdiction of Brahma, even Brahma cannot enter. So here Lord is saying, so any example where devotee would have asked something which was very difficult for the Lord to fulfill? Think out loud. Any situation which was very difficult for the Lord, and Lord even said, what did you do? Bolo.
Arjun took the vow that he will kill after the
So Jayadratha pastime. And when Arjuna took that vow, Lord Krishna looked at Arjuna, gazing at him. What? तू मुझसे भगवद गीता सुना, तूने मुझे गुरु बोला, गुरु तेरे सामने खड़ा है, and without asking your guru you took such a vow? Krishna had such a big question on his face. What? And then Arjuna smiled. Please take care. And he went away. As mentioned, Krishna had to really churn what to do, what not to do, like that. So yeah, so devotees only create further trouble for the Lord. Okay, let me ask this question to you. What favor are you doing to the Lord by becoming a devotee? Please give me 3 favors that you are bestowing on the Lord by becoming a devotee. Batao. 2 favors? Anyone? Open challenge. Even 1 favor you're bestowing on the Lord by becoming a devotee? Half favor? No favor. Who is getting only favor? We are the one who is getting favor. And to get that favor, how much engagement we are creating for the Lord. And तब भी we keep complaining. भगवान मुझे ये नहीं मिला, भगवान मुझे वो नहीं मिला करके. Think about it. ठीक है, Prabhu writes further details. You can read now. Text number 2021. The Supreme Personality God continued, my dear Dhruva, I shall award you the glowing planet known as pole star, which will continue to exist even after the dissolution at the end of the millennium. Again, Brahma's day. No one has ever ruled this planet, which is surrounded, which means no jiva have ever lived on this planet, which is surrounded by all the solar system, planets and stars. The luminaries in the sky circumambulate this planet. Pole star, everything will circumambulate around this. All the stars inhabited by the great sages like Dharma, Agni, Kashyapa and Shukra. At the same point was mentioned in Mahabharat, when Arjuna was flying to Indra's abode, he asked Arjuna's charioteer, hey, what are these glowing objects in the sky? He said, these are called as stars, but these are not stars, these are the chariots of the great and pure Brahmanas or the Kshatriyas, like that, their place of their abode. So great sages like Dharma, Agni, Kashyapa. So it is said everything circumambulates around pole star. So when you go to a temple, who circumambulates whom? The devotee circumambulates the Lord, which means the Lord is the greatest, and you do the circumambulation. Now pole star becomes the greatest, and everyone now circumambulates around the pole star. So this is the Vaikuntha. Text number 22. After your father goes to the forest, awards you the rule of his kingdom. You will rule continuously the entire world for 36,000 years, and all your senses will continue to be as strong as they are now. You will never become old. So you will never become old like this, and now some interesting is going to happen. Okay, so far blessings, text number 23. The Lord continued, sometime in the future, now Lord gives punishment. We'll take 3 verses today, because this requires some reading. Sometime in the future, your brother Uttama will go hunting in the forest, and while absorbed in hunting, he will be killed. Your stepmother Suruchi, being maddened upon the death of her son, will go to search him out in the forest, but she will be devoured by a forest fire. Extremely important puppet, the result of offense. Somebody would like to read online? Please raise your hand so I can call upon your name to read out the puppet of text number 23. Nikhil Prabhu, go ahead. Read the puppet.
Hare Krishna Prabhu Pranam. Dhruva Maharaj came to the forest to search out the Supreme Personality of Godhead with a revenging spirit against his stepmother. His stepmother had insulted Dhruva, who was not an ordinary person but a great Vaishnava.
Okay.
And often,
just a quick thing. Somebody may ask a question. How did Dhruva become such a great devotee in such a short span of time? Of course, he did tapa, but still you need a determination to worship Vishnu. How you got determination for Vishnu? As according to Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, you cannot take up to the worship of the Lord out of a sudden. There must be some Bhakti Unmukha Sukriti. So in Vishnu Puran, Dhruva's past life is described. It's not mentioned in Bhagavatam. Anyone knows Dhruva's past life? Dhruva was a son of a Brahmana, and he was a worshipper of Lord Vishnu. Every day he would worship Lord Vishnu. However, he got an association of king's son who came to his father for Gurukul education. And being attracted and influenced by his opulence, the Brahmana's son developed a desire to become a king or the son of a king, and he got distracted from his Vishnu Bhakti. And the Lord fulfilled his desire and made him a son of a king in this life. So he desired to become the son of the king. But after becoming the son of the king, he still had some karmic balances to settle. Therefore, he got criticized by Mother Suruchi, like that, and then he went through all that suffering. That's the idea. So, 2 things here. Now, Suruchi may say, sir, what's my mistake? I didn't know Dhruva is a great devotee. Dhruva became great devotee because of my mercy. If I would not have criticized, how he would have heart filled with revenge, gone and done bhakti? But here is an argument. But my dear ma'am, you forgot, my dear mother, you forgot. He was already a great devotee from past life. But he got distracted. So because of that, your offense will still be taken. Please continue. Hare Krishna. Nikhil, are you reading it?
Yes, Prabhuji, the screen is coming. Yeah. His stepmother had insulted Dhruva, who was not an ordinary person but a great Vaishnav. An offense at the lotus feet of a Vaishnav is the greatest offense in this world. Because of having insulted Dhruva Maharaj, Suruchi would become mad upon the death of her son and would enter a forest fire, and thus her life would be ended. This was specifically mentioned by the Lord to Dhruva because he was determined for revenge against her. From this, we should take the lesson that we should never try to insult a Vaishnav. Not only should we insult a Vaishnav, but we should not insult anyone unnecessarily. When Suruchi insulted Dhruva Maharaj, he was just a child. She, of course, did not know that Dhruva was a great recognized Vaishnav, and so her offense was committed unknowingly. When one serves a Vaishnav unknowingly, one still gets the good result. And if one unknowingly insults a Vaishnav, one suffers the bad result. A Vaishnav is specially favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pleasing him or displeasing him directly affects the pleasure and displeasure of the Supreme Lord. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, in his 8 stanzas of prayer to the spiritual master, has sung Yasya Prasada Bhagavat Prasada. By pleasing the spiritual master, who is a pure Vaishnav, one pleases the personality of Godhead, but if one displeases the spiritual master, one does not know where he is going. Hare Krishna.
So we have spoken about offense and aparadh before also. I'm not going into detail, but this is an interesting story. An offense was committed to a devotee who was not even known as devotee. But yet the reactions were so severe about it. So we don't know who is who. Maybe somebody in our association forum may look like, oh, he's a sense gratifier. He does this, he eats extra prasadam, extra gulab jamun. Amongst the devotees, these kind of activities are sense gratification, extra gulab jamun. So we don't know who is who like that. Text number 24. The Lord continued, I am the heart of all sacrifices. You will be able to perform any great sacrifices, give charities. In this way, you will be able to enjoy the blessings of material happiness in this life, and at the time of death, you will be able to remember me. So, very interesting thing. What is the cause of his material success? His ability to perform many sacrifices. Without sacrifice, you cannot get anything in your life. This is 3rd chapter, verses 11 to 13 talks about. You will even not have a body if sacrifice is not performed, because that sacrifice, the rain happens, where the rain, crops happens, where the crops, you get food. So sacrifice. So in other words, somebody is earning, then of course as a devotee we have sacrifices, chanting holy names, but it's important to also contribute financially for the cause of preaching like this. So Prabhupada says in the purport in the middle, as stated in the Vedas, when one performs great sacrifices, he must give charity, not only to the Brahmanas, but also to the Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, Shudras. We might have seen this thing. How many of you seen, जब आपके घर पे कुछ यज्ञ या कुछ होता है, then for every guest, they get a lifafa. Isn't it? Sarva Lakshmi Prabhu was sharing an interesting thing. So Kumbh Mela is a place where such a big confluence of all practitioners of Sanatana Dharma, and they're all kind of sadhus. So it's very common to distribute wealth. So one person was giving out some Lakshmi, and he met Sarva Lakshmi Prabhu, and he gave him 10 rupee. Sarva Lakshmi Prabhu, sorry, I can't take it. He said, no, take it. He said, no. He said, why? He said, because the book is 20 rupees. So that fellow said, no, I will not give you 20, I'll give you 10 rupees only. But he said, sir, I cannot take. I will not give you this book for less than 20 rupees. I will not take 10 rupees. He said, मैं तुम्हें 10 रुपए से ज़्यादा दूंगा ही नहीं. I will not give. And they had back and forth. And finally he said, sir, why are you not giving me 20 rupees? I am giving you free Bhagavad Gita. He said, I have not come to take Bhagavad Gita. मैं तो 10 रुपए सब साधु को बांट रहा हूँ. तुम भी सैफरन ड्रेस में हो, तुम्हें मैं 10 रुपए बांट रहा हूँ. तुमसे मैं बुक लेने के लिए लक्ष्य नहीं ले रहा. So I mean, I was just reminded of the example, giving a charity who has, so give out some gifts. So that's the point. Not only to Brahmanas, even for Kshatriyas that is mentioned here, like this. Text number 25 and 26 are the last 2 verses of the conversation between Dhruva and the Lord. Tato gantasi masthanam sarvaloka namaskritam uparishta rishabhyastvam yato navartate yataha. My dear Dhruva, after you met a life in this body, you'll go to my planet, which is always offered obeisances by the residents of all other planetary systems. So therefore, Dhruva Loka, go back to my residence means Dhruva Loka is not different than the Vaikuntha. And the privilege, so now Dhruva's desire was to get a kingdom greater than his great grandfather. So he got a kingdom, but what is the speciality of it? Even Devtas cannot enter. But Dhruva had a direct access of the Lord in Dhruva planet. Text number 26. Maitrivacha iti archita sa bhagwan ati dishyatmanha padam valasya pashyato dhama samaga garudadvajaha. And Lord sat on Garuda and returned back, and Dhruva became greatly regretful. And now from text number 7 we'll see about his regret. So Lord have blessed Dhruva, and now he sat on Garuda and is returned back. The verse says, the great sage Mehta said, after being worshipped and honored by the boy Dhruva Maharaj, and after offering him his abode, Vishnu on the back of Garuda returned to his abode, and Dhruva Maharaj looked on. Why was Dhruva regretful? And he said, oh, I got the opportunity to render devotional service of the Lord. I could have asked for pure devotional service, but I only asked for the broken pieces of glasses. How unfortunate I am that I approached the Lord for material aspirations. And Prabhupada in this context writes in a purport, for a devotee, as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu instructed, for a devotee he should not worry about his material goals and aspirations. That anyways automatically would get fulfilled. Krishna will do that. But our aspiration in relation to Krishna should be, my dear Lord, how can I serve you? What can I do to please you? And in this context, Prabhupada has a very beautiful point. As we were reading before about Bhakti Shakti, only those who have received Bhakti Shakti, they can glorify the Lord. And one important point Prabhupada mentioned in relation to Bhakti Shakti is, when somebody has been blessed by Bhakti Shakti, his enthusiasm to serve will continue to increase. I'll repeat myself again. Prabhupada explains, who's one who has been blessed by Bhakti Shakti, which means the internal potency of the Lord, his enthusiasm to render the devotional service will only increase because he is tasting or relishing the higher taste. He would only want to be engaged more and more, and the age is no factor, and we can see that our current leaders, or Srila Prabhupada for that reason, or previous acharyas, the more they grew with age, the more they became engaged in rendering devotional service. And Prabhupada says, and this is the way of constant remembrance of the Lord, by being constantly engaged. And that blessing of being constantly engaged comes from the mercy of Bhakti Shakti or internal potency. But to have this advantage by our side, which is easily available to all of us, we have to take care of Vaishnava Aparadha, not to commit Vaishnava Aparadha. And the third thing during the discussion we talked about is Lord fulfill all the desires of Dhruva. Similarly, we should be very careful when we are associating with the Lord, and particularly during chanting time. What are we thinking? What are we desiring? So two things which will often pop up in the head of a conditioned living entity like us is lust and krodha. Krodha, against whom I have to take revenge, is like plot building happening during the japa time. So that we need to be carefully avoid it, so that such kind of inauspicious things are not fulfilled by the Lord, compiled by us. Rather, if we ask for the right thing, Lord will be happy to give us that right thing. With that, I'll pause here for today. Jaguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Anyone has any question or comment? We can take one. If not, we pass here. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Brother Chintamani, yes, go ahead. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes.
Prabhuji, one thing that I wanted to know is the Dhruva planet is destroyed after the millennium, but usually the planets in the Vaikuntha, this thing, they are eternal.
Okay.
Or this is Dhruva planet is also eternal.
Dhruva planet is eternal. Yeah, Dhruva is, the planet is eternal in the sense, is like a Vaikuntha. This is not Brahma's creation. Lord had to create this for him, and even the Jivatmas don't have access to it, as great as Brahmaji. They cannot access. And therefore, Prabhupada quotes an example of Devtas go to the bank of Shir Sagar playing to the Lord, and Lord speaks in the form of Akashvani. He doesn't even give his darshan to the Brahmas and Devtas. But here, the Lord is residing on Polestar, on Dhruva planet or Dhruva Loka, like that. and it does not get dissolved or destructed at the end of Brahma's day. What happens at the end of Brahma's tenure? Well, it comes back to spiritual world, because there's not a material creation. So why to go back into Karna, Daksha and Evil? These are some thoughts onto it. Fine?
Oh, and what about the Saptarishi planets that talked about?
So Saptarishi planets, so all the stars are the abodes of different celebrated sages. Why the stars कहते हैं, what do you call it? Sprinkling, right? No, what do you call it? Huh? Twinkling, yeah. Why the stars are twinkling? Twinkle, twinkle, little star, something like that, right? So why the stars have this thing? Just like sun reflects Lord's energy, Lord's potency, which means purity. So here, this shining, twinkling stars are the abodes of greatly advanced pious brahmanas, and that glare of the stars is nothing but the effulgence of those sages. For example, when you read the 4th canto, we read in the beginning of the 4th canto, isn't it? When Daksha entered the assembly, it looked like sun god had personally entered. It was so effulgent. So that's also a good aspiration to have, to become as effulgent as Surya Devata, to have one your own star. So these effulgence are the reflection of their purity, because of which they are illuminating. And this strength of this illumination comes from the Lord. Lord residing in the heart of that devotee as a Paramatma is blessing this devotee. So that's how it functions. That was a point about Saptarishis. Okay?
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you.
And the last point, even the pole stars circumambulate around Dhruva planet. All those Saptarishis were born far before than Dhruva, but even they circumambulate Dhruva's planet. That was a position given to Dhruva by Lord Vishnu, or Prishni-garbha, precisely being described as Prishni-garbha. Hare Krishna. Thank you. We can try to call our meeting, that Saturday program meeting. मैंने मैसेज डाला था.